All right, like I said, the way our backend is going to go, we're upgrading it a little. And during the week, a student of mine called me, and he said he has gotten the job and he wants to get me involved in the job. He was so happy. At that point, me, I was already stressed and tired, so I didn't really take the excitement much because I was already exhausted during the week. But he was excited and he said I should hold on. He wants to call his friend. I was like, no, 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 I don't even have time for this. I want to rest like that. So but like I said, we're upgrading it a little. What if I run all the code and it all gives me the result in the console, but it's still graded 8? No, I'm not going to grade. Now, if I grade you 8, it could be possible that the instructions were not complete. For example, the one I just showed you, the instruction was the function should accept the score. So, but if you define the score inside the function, it is going to work, but that's not what the instruction says. So, you could run it. Now, it's just for some persons, they would have found their issues if they actually run it. You'll notice the issue. But if you run it and I grade you 8, it means it's working, but something is off. Some of us are not yet graded for week 4. I've graded week 4, except for one person who have not graded. I think one person, Chinwendo, and that's because I didn't see the score. So now the thing is this: I cannot mark attendance for you, even if I want to. I can't mark attendance for you. You are the only person who can mark it on the platform. Number two, now the assignment. I cannot grade your assignment if it is not on the platform. It has to be on the platform, then I can grade it on the platform. Now, even if you submit it to me privately, I can review, but I will not see where to add a score. The persons who I call on that I'm not seeing the assignment, they submitted something. No, it's more like this thing we do in school. Then, if you're going to school, you want to sit in front, you give your friend your bag, keep my bag for me on this seat. So they are reserving a seat for you. So if you reserve the position there, but the score, maybe your assignment, I'm not seeing it, I can then call you later to say I'm not seeing it also. Then you can then update it. So Chiwendu, your assignment is there. If I'm not seeing the result, so what you need to do is update the repo that you submitted. That is the only way I can grade the assignment. Even if you send it to me and then what is on the platform is not what you sent, I cannot grade what is there. Just imagine if they go and review it and they see that what you submitted is not what is supposed to be graded. So it won't make sense. All right, so I cannot mark assignment or grade assignment if it is not on the platform. So try and submit on the platform. If it's not correct, if I'm not seeing it, I will call you back and get what I want. Okay, back to where we are. So our backend classes is going to go in this. For backend, for you to build a backend project or maybe teach a backend, you need 4 to 6 weeks. 4 to 6 weeks to complete building a full backend project. And all of you are going to be building a full backend project. Now, my class, I'm going to build one backend project from beginning to the end. That is how the class will go. So you are going to see me build from the beginning to the end, which means it's not going to be just beginners. I'm building a backend. Now, when it comes to backend, if I build a backend for e-commerce, you can also use the same backend and configure it to work for maybe hospital management or maybe a ride hailing application, but with just little differences. But the main base remains the same. That's the difference between the back end and the front end. So by next week class, we should be talking about starting your own project. So that means I would have built my project this week and next week. So I'm 2 weeks ahead of you while you start your own project, because you need 4 to 6 or maybe 3 weeks, like I say. You need 3 to 6 weeks to complete it. So we are not going to wait till the end of the program for you to start your own project. So I'm going to build for 2 weeks, then you start. I will continue building my own. I'm ahead of you. So as I'm teaching, you also building your own. And that way, and that's how the backend class is going to. I don't know if anybody has any question about that. So by next week, I'm going to come up with your projects and we start working on the project. So what is the backend? The backend is the engine room, the house of every software application. Let's assume we have something like this. I have this. this here is my front end, here is my back end, and here I will have a database. So let me just see if I can write. I want to be able to write front end, and then here I will write back end. So here I will write database. Now these are three different aspects of a software. The three of them can be hosted together or can be hosted separately, meaning this front end can be hosted on a different company, this back end can be hosted on a different company, and the database hosted on a different company, and the three of them will also be communicating. Users will not know. But maybe if a company wants to host everything together on the one hosting platform, it also works like that, and users will also not know. But as a backend developer, you will know that three of them may be on the same place or may not be on the same place. So for a backend, you are responsible for these two. As a backend developer, you are responsible for these two. This is your backend, which is comprises of your server, your APIs, and every other logic. While this is your store, your database for saving of images, user profile, user information, and password, and so on and so forth. So you are responsible for these two. How does the whole software works? Now, if you open your mobile phone, or maybe open maybe a website or any of that, the first thing you do is to make a request to a backend like this. Now, this is the same thing like what happens in a typical restaurant. If you enter a restaurant, the restaurant is decorated in such a way that you feel so comfortable. Everywhere is fine. You sit down. That is what we refer to as the front end. So where you sit down in the restaurant, everything looking fine, that's your front end. Now, somebody is going to walk up to you and ask you, what do you want? You say, I want maybe rice and coke and chicken and all of that. So you place your order, and then the person goes to the counter to get it for you. If what they want, or if what you want is not on the counter, let's say you want rice, maybe fried rice or whatever rice, but it's not there, they will ask you to give them a few minutes to prepare it for you. So the person goes to the store, gets raw rice, prepare it in the kitchen, and then serve it and come back and serve it to you that way. So that is typically how a software application works. So when you come to this front end, you maybe type in your email, type in your password if you are trying to log in or anything. You make a request. The person that is taking your order, we call it the API. API stands for Application Programming Interface. API. So the person takes your order and goes to the counter. Now this is the counter and the kitchen. The backend is the counter and the kitchen. They try to process your order and check whether what you want, they have it here. So if they have rice here, immediately they will serve it to you. If they have the rice and they have the coke in the fridge and all of that, they serve it to you. But if they don't have the rice, and maybe they don't have the coke in the fridge, they are going to make a request to the store and ask the store, please give us raw rice, or maybe give us hot coke. I want to put it in the fridge for a particular customer, or whatever it is that the person requests for. And then the database is going to send whatever they ask for. So the database sends it to the backend. The backend processes it and then sends it to the front end. And the person who does this, or will I call it the waiter, is referred to as the API on the backend. So when you come to an application, the application will open. By that time you are waiting, an API was attached to that mobile app. It will take your request, whether you want to see an image, whether you want to log in, whether you want to watch a video. There are so many APIs that will be handling so many things. So as a backend developer, you are going to be writing multiple APIs that will be doing so many things. I remember in our last class, I told you once you hear functionalities, it means functions. So these APIs are actually functions, but APIs are not just functions, they are more than functions, and I'm also going to show you what they are. So, but for every functionality is an API. Every functionality is an API. To watch a video is an API. To view an image is an API. To update profile is an API. So there's an API to do every single thing. Everywhere is too quiet. Please drop a thumbs up if you can hear me or if you are following along. Please drop a thumbs up. Is anybody here? Please drop a thumbs up if you can hear me. So we continue. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, like I said, the front end will make a request. API is called Application Programming Interface. You are going to build it. Then when we start writing the code, I will show you the part that is referred to as the API. But you just need to know that the front end will make a request to the backend via an API. So it is the API that accepts the request. It is the API that sends back a response to the front end. It is also the API that queries the database and gets information. So this just reminds me, let me just pause and ask a question. From this my simple illustration, does the front end queries the database directly? Does the front end query the database directly? With this little illustration I just gave you, does the front end or can the front end query the database directly? No. So you're going to see that in some questions like the interviews or exams. You might see that. Now the front end cannot query the database. The front end goes to the back end first. Then the back end will try to resolve the request. So if the back end cannot resolve it, it will then check the database to try and resolve that request. But if the database doesn't have the information you are looking for, the backend is going to send you a response, not found. It's going to tell you maybe user account does not exist, or image does not exist, product does not exist, whatever it is. So it just returns to you that what you are looking for does not exist. But the front end makes a request to the backend via an API. It is the same API that will try to send back the response. It is the same API that will still check the database if it has it there, and then still come back to the backend before sending it to the front end. So this is also how a restaurant works, most restaurants. So with this little explanation, do you have any question? With this little explanation of the backend, the front end, do you have any question? Any question? All right, and like I said, your job as a backend developer is to set up the server. The server is here. Also write your APIs. All your APIs will be here, and then configure the database. Set up the database, then connect the database to the backend. So that is the job of a backend developer. Before now, a lot of persons write backend without the front end. So you write backend, the backend is rendering HTML pages. A lot of developers did it then with PHP and Go. So you'll be rendering HTML pages, displaying HTML pages using the backend. But right now, backend has evolved beyond that. You're not the one rendering the pages. The front end will be rendering the pages. Your own is to handle all the logic and be sending back data. So they send you a data, you accept that data, perform the logic, and send back a response. So they send you a request. Yes. Now, in some companies, if they are small companies that they cannot afford multiple developers, they will ask you, the backend, to do the job of DevOps. Now, what is DevOps? DevOps is a two-in-one, development plus operations. Initially, when you are going to build your backend project, when you build it, you deploy it, and when you deploy it, it's launched. People start using it. As more and more person gets to use it, there will be too much traffic. There will be so many issues. And that would require that the operations part of the development, you need somebody to look at it and handle it. How do we make sure that this backend is faster? How do we make sure that the server doesn't crash? Even though it crashes, how do we bring it up? So some companies will require you as a backend developer to do the job of DevOps, but some will hire a DevOps. But not to worry, that is like an advanced topic. You are already a backend developer first. You've built the product first, and you have deployed it before we start talking about DevOps. Nevertheless, we can continue. So, with this few points of mine, we can then proceed to learn other things. Now, when setting up a backend, there's a few ways to set up our backend, and we need something called Node.js. We need Node.js to set up our backend. Now, some persons are going to ask, why Node.js? Is Node.js a programming language? Is this something new we have to learn? And so on and so forth. The answer is here. Before now, JavaScript was only a programming language that runs on the front end. So till now, JavaScript is the main programming language to build any front-end application, front-end website per se. And it's also used to build mobile apps too. But a lot of persons were not using it on the back end. But somebody discovered that this same JavaScript I'm writing on the front end, I can also write it and it will work for the back end. So with the hero JavaScript for the back end, but it could not run. In order for that JavaScript to run, he needed Node. So that is where Node.js comes in. We'll be writing our JavaScript, the same programming language that we learned, but we will use Node to run it. So if somebody asks you what is Node or what is Node.js or what is a backend application built with Node.js, the answer there is that Node.js application or Node.js backend is a backend written with JavaScript, but we use Node to run the JavaScript. So if you put them together, it becomes Node.js. And that is why they say Node.js is a free JavaScript runtime environment. So Node.js is not a new programming language you need to learn. No, JavaScript is the programming language. But to run the JavaScript, you will use Node to run it. And that is why we are writing Node.js. So we're going to be setting up our server with JavaScript. We're going to be building our APIs with JavaScript. The same functions that we learned before, we'll be writing the same thing. All of them the same thing. But for it to run, we will use Node to run it. That is one. So I want to believe with these few points of mine, we are now good to go. Do you have any other question before we go a little deeper? Any question, anything you want to ask before we go deeper? So if I ask you what is Node.js, or is Node.js a programming language, you understand what it is. A lot of persons don't know what Node.js is. They just assume that Node.js is a backend programming language. No, but that's not the case. And I want to believe you know what backend. Sorry, I'm talking too much. I want to believe you know what Node.js. I'm looking for my folder. I've forgotten. Why am I forgetting things these days? Okay, it's inside here. And here. So I can create a new folder. So my question is, somebody asked you what is Node.js. I want to believe you know what Node.js is. And you can explain what Node.js is. Even if you have not written Node.js, you should be able to know what Node.js is, and you can explain what it is. Is that clear? Can we get a thumbs up if that is clear? All right. Please, yeah, the question. Thank you. All right. Now, when it comes to writing backend applications, there are a few things we need to learn about. First is setting up our server. When you set up the server, you make sure it's working. You connect the server to a database. Before you connect to the database, you make sure you set up the database. Then you start writing your APIs, accepting requests, and so on and so forth. There is a lot to learn, but we're going to learn all of them gradually. So I want to believe everybody is giving it their best. Now, starting a backend project is not the same thing like starting a front end project. If I want to start a front end project, I will just come here and create file immediately and I've started it. No, that's not how the backend works. I can't just come immediately and create a file and it starts working. So how does it work? First, we need to initialize that this is a back-end project. We need to initialize that this is a back-end project. There is something that makes it a back-end project. So what is that? Now, if I click here, I will need to open my terminal here. This is my terminal. I can either use this terminal or I use git bash, but let's use this one first. We're going to come to git bash. Remember that I opened this thing on a folder, so that's why you have this here, and I've not created any file. I want to initialize a backend project. I want to start a backend project. That's what I'm trying to do. When it comes to the backend, some steps you don't do it twice, you do it only once. Because a backend project takes you 3 to 6 weeks, most steps you take them once. You may not even remember that step again. So, which means if we're going to be building a backend project to the end, some things will be done once. So please try and pay attention. We may not go over it again, because if we keep going over it again and again, we may not complete the backend before the program elapses. So I've created an empty folder. I want to initialize a backend project. To initialize a backend project, I will do npm. So if you install Node, this Node comes with npm by default. So it is on npm.js.com. npm. So when you install Node, it comes with npm. What is npm? npm is just Node package managers. Yes, I want to believe. Yes, it's recording, and I want to believe you can see my screen. So when you install Node, it automatically comes with npm. npm stands for Node package manager. Node package manager. So what does Node package manager means? It means that there are some packages you will need to complete this backend project. There are some functions that you will need to complete the backend project. There are modules, there are stuff that have been written that you need that will assist you to finish this backend project. And all of them are inside Node. So this npm is the manager that manages all of those packages. So it is responsible for handling and managing all of those packages that you will need. So that is why we use Node. The same way we create folder for the front end is the same way you create this folder. You create it anywhere. I like building all my projects in one folder of a project. So if that's what you like doing, but it's a new folder, just create a new folder anywhere and then open VS Code on that folder. So when I say npm init, npm init just simply means npm inside it. What it means is I am bringing npm inside this backend project that I want to start. So simply saying that node package manager, please, I want you inside this project so that you can manage the entire backend project for me. So npm inside it, npm init. If I hit enter, npm init, it's going to ask me a series of questions. It says this utility will walk you through creating a package.json file. We're going to understand what a package.json file is later. But so the first question is the package name. It's asking me, this backend project, am I okay with the name Node.js intro as the name of the project? So that is what it's asking. If I say yes, I will hit enter. But if not, I can type in a name that I want. But if I don't want, I want to use the same name, I will just hit enter. Then it will ask me the version of the project. Am I okay with version 1? Yes, this is my first version. But if it's not, you can type in no, this is the second version, as the case may be. So this is version 1. I'll hit enter. It will ask me for description about the project. At this point, we don't have time for description, so I'm going to skip it. But if you want, you can also write the description of your backend project, and you hit enter. It will ask you entry point. The entry point means the first file that is referred to or that is containing your backend code. The first file, the entry point, the first file. Is asking me, should it create index.js? Now, if I am okay with index.js, I will hit enter. If I am not, I can say server.js, like that, or maybe app.js or whatever.js, whatever I want. That's the entry point. But it's asking me now, what should be the entry point? I want to still keep it at index.js, so I will hit enter. It's asking me for test command. So as a backend developer, when you build a functionalities, you will test it with different commands. But right now, we don't have any test command, so we're going to leave it empty and then hit enter. It's asking for a Git repository. So you can create a Git repository and paste the URL here, but if you don't have it, you can skip that and hit enter. It's asking for keywords. I don't have any keywords right now, so I will skip it and hit enter. The author is definitely me, so I'll just put my name as the author. Now, for some companies, you don't do this, but this is a private project. It's my project, so I can put my name as the author and hit enter. The license, so the default license is ISC. I'll keep that and hit enter. Now it's asking me, is this okay? Is this information okay to start up the backend? The name of the project is this. The version of the project is this. The main file has to be index.js. I can skip that. There is no script for now. The author is David Sampson. The license is this, and description is empty. If this is okay, I will hit enter. Now it has created a package.json file. And this package.json file contains the information that I used. You can edit these informations here if you want. You can edit them and save them. There's nothing much. You can remove the author if you want and save them. You can do any adjustment you want here, but you cannot delete the package.json file. If you delete it, that backend project is gone. because the package.json file contains all the information about that project. It contains the dependencies that we are using, the version of each dependency. It contains the history of that project. It contains every information about that project. So you can edit it, change whatever you want, but you cannot delete the package.json file. If you delete the package.json file, that project is gone. You have to start from the beginning. All right, but I can delete it here. It doesn't matter. It's my project. I can do that. Move to recycle bin and delete it permanently. It's gone. So why did I delete it? I want to do it again, but in a faster way, so that you get how it's done. I don't want to answer all those questions one by one. All right, so I'm going to open. You see, there's no file here. There is nothing here. I'm going to open my listing again and then clear the terminal and hit enter. It's cleared. So we start again with npm init. Typing npm init is going to walk me through those questions one by one, and it will create a package.json file. Now I know that after creating the file I can edit it, so why do I have to walk through step by step? I don't have to. I can simply say dash 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 yes. So dash yes means I am saying yes to all the questions you will ask me. Don't ask me, just go ahead and create the package.json file. That's what dash yes means. Just go ahead and create the package.json file. You can also do a dash dash y. It's the same thing. I am saying yes to all the questions you will ask. Just go ahead. Wait, hope there's no question here. Just go ahead and create the package.json file. So if I hit enter, it's just going to create a package.json file without asking me any questions. So it has created a new package.json file. Now if I want, I can edit it and change it to be David Samson and save it. It's working. Everything is fine. So this is how you set up a backend project, creating package.json file with this few points of mine. Can everybody say they know how to create a package.json file? If you do, please drop a thumbs up so that I know that you know how to create a package.json file. I want everybody to drop a thumbs up so that we continue. What do you mean you can't? Is it network or what? All right, let's take it again. Maybe not step by step, but one last time. I'll delete it again. But like I said, you should never delete the package.json file from any backend project, even though you're not using the backend, because once it is gone, you've rendered that backend useless. All right, to create a package.json file, I'm going to open my terminal. Now this terminal, it can be done with any terminal, but I want to use VS Code terminal so that you see it. All you need to do first, make sure you have Node installed. If you don't have Node, it will not work. Make sure you have Node installed. When you have Node installed, you come here and type npm. No, npm cannot rest because npm doesn't even know what to restore in the first place. If your package.json file is gone, it doesn't know what to restore, or except you have pushed it to GitHub, installed on GitHub, then you can copy it back. But if you don't have any trace of it anywhere, it's gone. npm init dash dash yes. This is the command you need to create a package.json file. It is that simple. There is no magic to it. Just type it and hit enter. Not dash dash yes, actually dash yes. It's just going to create a package.json file for you to start with, because that's the first thing you need to do before you start a backend project. So I will hit enter. Are you sure you have Node installed? What you have to do is wisdom. Try typing in Node. If it says welcome to Node, mine is saying welcome to Node. If it says welcome to Node, then you have Node. Then you want to confirm. You want to confirm if you have npm. So you type npm-v. Now, because um, npm comes with Node, so you have to confirm that you have npm. Now I have npm is showing me the version. If these two things do not work, please install Node again. If it doesn't work, install Node again. The very first step is to open a folder for the backend first before I run npm in it. Can I open it anywhere? Yes, you can open it anywhere. Just go ahead and open it anywhere. Oh, if it is PowerShell, I don't know. Okay. I haven't tried it. I like using Git Bash, and there's a reason why we're gonna come to that. So try using Git Bash. Install again. Install again. At this time, when you're trying to install, select the option to repair. It happens. You will have Node, but npm will not be there. So try to repair it will work. So if you're having this issue, what you can do is use Git Bash. How do you use Git Bash? Go to the same folder where the folder you created. Go to that folder. Go to that folder. Open the folder. Right click anywhere on the folder and go to Git Bash here. So when you Git Bash on the folder, you can do it. Now I'll be doing this later. I'll do this later, but for now I want to use the integrated terminal. So, but we are going to come to using Git Bash later. So if you want to figure out, open the folder. Make sure you have opened the folder first. Right click anywhere inside the folder and Git Bash here. So this will also work for you if you have Git installed. Now Git Bash comes with Git. So if you've installed Git, you have Git Bash automatically. All right, guys. So I think we can continue from there. Use Git Bash if PowerShell is giving you an issue. Don't type the $sign. The $sign comes out by default here. So don't type the $sign. Try it first. I don't use Python, but I don't think that should affect it. Try it first. Yes, select repair. What is the issue here? Cannot be loaded because runtime script is disabled on this program. Use Git Bash. Try. Alright, that's the first step. The second step is based on this Git package.json. We have said that our entry point has to be index.js. The entry point, the first file, the main file has to be index.js. So when you are creating that JavaScript file, it has to be index.js. Why? Because in your package.json, it is specified that it has to be index.js. If you want it to be app.js, you must come here and change it. If you want it to be server.js, you must come here and change it. Now, I know why I'm taking my time to explain, because these steps are too long. We may not repeat them again. So where we stop today, we continue tomorrow, we continue next week. You're just continuing on one back-end project until it's complete. Because unlike front-end, where I can come today and write H1, still come tomorrow and write H1, another day and still be writing H1. That's not how it works here. Once you do npm init, that's gone. Once you create the main file, that's gone. Once you set up the server, it's gone. So you just keep going forward and forward, forward ever, backward never. So that's why I'm taking my time to explain. So I have created index.js, and the reason is because it is specified inside my package.json file that it has to be index.js. So if I come here, inside here, I can write my normal JavaScript here. I can say const a is equal to 8, and I'll say console log a for me. So this is normal JavaScript. Yeah, well done. So this is normal JavaScript, the same JavaScript we learned. Now, I am not going to see this JavaScript console, see it anywhere. Number one, it's not even running because it will not run on its own. It will not run on its own. So I have to open the terminal again, clear the terminal, and then inside this terminal, I have to type node run index.js. So this is why Node is called JavaScript runtime, because when you write your JavaScript, you use Node to run it. So that is where Node.js came from. Node.js is just JavaScript runtime environment. So if I hit enter, it's saying unable because I used the word node. So let me just remove that run from there. I think that's done on git bash. I'll say node index.js. That's working. So the run keyword here, I think is used on git bash. It's not used here. Now I can see my console. What is inside here? So if I change this to maybe 1000, not 1000, change it to a string and save it, I can come back again and say node run index.js and hit enter, and I'm seeing the console on the terminal. Aha, I'm sweating now. It's not working. I have repaired and restart. Can you share your screen, favor? Can you share your screen? Everybody, not everybody actually, but most of us need to follow. But can you share your screen, favor? Can you do that? And request for mic so that you can talk. This is actually much, so you don't need to get lost from the beginning. Yeah, you can get lost towards the ending, maybe from after next week. You can start getting lost. I'm not wishing you to get lost, but not at the beginning. So try and share your screen. Can you share your screen, or can you send me a screenshot? Any of that? Install Git. Install Git. When you install Git, go to your folder, right click on it, and you will see Git bash here. Click on it. All right. Can we, it's favor here, or do we proceed? Is there another person who is lost? And what point are you lost? Now, if you're, this is what happens most times. I know a particular student that we tried installing Node.js for her. It refused working. Throughout the class, it was not working. I tried and tried, it was not working. Until she went home and installed it, and it worked. She came to class the following day and it was working. So it happens. Now, if your node is not installed, no problem. Don't get lost. Keep trying it. File program, do not run, never. Welcome to Node. You have not cancelled. This will not work. When you run welcome to Node, you cancel with Control C. Cancel with Control C, I think so. But reference error npm is not defined. Cancel with Control C, then run npm again. Try it. Cancel with Control C. I think that's the problem. Let me try it if that's a problem. So I will try Node. It says welcome npm -v hit uncut error. So I'm having the same error here because when I run Node, I did not cancel. You cancel with Control C first, and you see that it's back to normal. And then you can run npm -v, and you should see it. Are you kidding me? Where did you cancel? Okay, you cancel the npm -v file program exception unauthorized. All right, this is what we're going to do. Leave it, don't worry about it. It's not a big issue. We're going to find out what the error is towards the end of the class or at the end of the class. But just try and pay attention. I know you want to follow along, but yeah, sometimes too you need to restart your PC after installing. There are so many things you might want to do. I can't really tell this is what is wrong, but Node.js works for every system. Unlike design or front end where you need a heavy laptop, for backend you don't need a heavy laptop. Once you have a laptop of 8 gig RAM, 2 point something, 2 is okay. You can build your backend project, any backend project. Now, except when you have multiple tasks, then you need a very strong laptop. So just don't worry about it. Try it, maybe restart your system, but just pay attention to what I'm doing. If possible, write it down. Write it down on paper, write it down somewhere, so you can also follow the same process and you understand what is going on here. All right, welcome. Okay, that being said, we'll proceed. Like I said, this is normal JavaScript. Normal JavaScript const a is equal to 8. I don't know why I'm using 8. B is equal to 10. And then const answer is equal to a times b. A times b, and then console log answer and save it. So this is normal JavaScript. That's why we have the recording. We have a recording. Whatever you miss, you can always rewatch it. But while we are still on the call, try restarting your system. Restart your system again and keep trying it. Even if it doesn't work, it's fine, but try it. But if you miss any part, you can always rewatch the recording, but it will work. I know it will work. I've had it countless times. Sorry it's happening to you. Okay, I think she's using. Okay, you are using what's it called? The normal VS Code terminal. Try using git bash. Switch to git bash. I think that will solve it. Switch to git bash. So what I'm trying to explain is that here I've written my JavaScript, but it will not run. It will not do anything. It will not work. To switch to git bash, open the terminal. On the terminal, you see this icon here. Click on it. You should see git bash. Now mine is set to git bash by default. So open the terminal on this icon, not the plus, but this icon, not this one, but this one. Click on the drop down. You should see git bash. Select git bash. All right. So how do I run it again? I will call node and then call the name of the file, index.js, and I'm seeing 80 in the console. So gone are those days when we're going to be seeing our console log on the browser. No, we'll be seeing it on the terminal. It's no longer going to appear on the browser. The browser is front end. We used it to learn JavaScript, and we're done with JavaScript. We're not done with JavaScript actually. We just did some JavaScript. We're not on the back end. So every console log will appear on the terminal, not on the browser. So we have no business with the browser right now. That being said, all right. Apart from those who are having issues with their Node, is any other person having any issues, or can we proceed? Is any other person having any other issues, or can we proceed? All right, great and beautiful. So I want to believe you know why I created index.js. And I want to believe you also know why I am typing node index.js here. Please, if you do, drop a thumbs up. Why did I create index.js and why am I typing node index.js here? If you know what it is, please drop a thumbs up. You know why I created index.js, and you know why I'm typing node index.js here. My question wasn't answered. Can node work when I have? Try it now. Try it first. That's how you know whether it's going to work or not. I don't have node Python installed here, but try it. It will work. It should work. I think the only time it will not work is can't remember what it is. It will work. Fine. Just go ahead, use it. If you have already installed it, you don't have to install it again. Maybe you want to update it, but there's no issue. Just go ahead with it. All right, so that's the first step and the second step. The first step is creating package.json file. I cannot emphasize the importance of that file, which you don't have to talk it. The second thing is creating your first file, the main file that you want. The third thing is setting up a server. Setting up a server. Setting up a server. All right. What is a server? There is a part of the backend that runs 24/7 every single time it is running. It doesn't stop. It keeps running. It is a part. It is not the entire backend. It is a part of the backend. It runs every single time. And also, it is responsible for listening. So the server is going to be listening to who is trying to communicate with it. The server may be hosted somewhere on AWS, and somebody is opening their mobile phone or mobile app in the middle of the night around 2 a.m. If the server is down, the person will not get what they want. So, but because the server runs 24/7 and is listening, is waiting for anybody that is going to make a request to it. So that's the server. The server listens and it runs 24/7. So in case you come across it anywhere and all of that. Now that brings us to what we call the IP addresses and domains. What are IP addresses? What are domains? Now, most of us have watched movies where you see black computers stacked upon each other, so many computers, and you see lights blinking, red light, green light blinking in each of those computers. Those computers put together are what we call dedicated servers. So that's like somebody's company. Their company is just for servers, and you want to host your own small server or your own backend application. For example, AWS has something like that. What is it called? Heroku, Render, DigitalOcean, they all have it. They have most of those computers stacked to each other, so many of them, and all of those computers are running different servers around the world. So that is why most times if people hack that kind of company, they gain access to almost all the softwares around the world. Not all of them, those ones that are hosted with them. So those computers stacked together are called dedicated servers. So when you want to deploy your own server, you pay them. When you pay them, you deploy your own backend application on their server. Your own server will be running 24/7 on their server. Those computers are not permitted to shut down at any point. Now, even though they shut down, but they are not permitted to. They power them 24/7. They are expected to run every single day, every single time they are supposed to run. Now, when you host your own there, your mobile application or your website is supposed to communicate with that your server that is hosted there. So when they host it for you, they give you an IP address. The IP address is what you will use to communicate with that your server that is hosted there on their computer, starting like that. You are not using all the computers, you're just using a portion of the computer. So that IP address is what you will need to connect your front end to that your server that is hosted there. But most times, servers are difficult to remember. They're just a bunch of numbers. 14.8. Just like that. Because they are a set of numbers that are difficult to remember, they are now attached to words. So instead of trying to remember the numbers, I will try to remember the words. So what is the word? It could be something like my school dot whatever it is. My school, why am I not typing school? My school.com and so on and so forth. So now this word will be attached to this IP. If I don't remember the IP, I can use the word. Now the word here is what we refer to domains. So the IP, will I say the domain, is masking the IP. When you call the domain, you are indirectly calling the IP. Now, when I mean domain here, I don't mean the front end domain. No, the backend has its own domain name. So as a backend developer, you also be it's not compulsory. Most of these hosting platforms gives you free domain, but it's not customized. Now, when you want a customized domain, you have to pay for it. So that is the history, or would I say the story behind IP addresses and domains. In the IP addresses comes with port numbers, but it is not the company that will set the port. Now, most times, the company sets the port numbers. You as a developer, you can also set the port numbers. I've explained a few things here. I think I need to write them down. IP addresses, so that I will see them. Sorry, we're going to write codes, but this is an introductory class. It will be more of words. And then, what was I going to say? Port. If I want to transfer file from my USB to my computer, I'm going to put it into the computer port or my laptop port. It's the same thing when it comes to backend. The port is the channel that you communicate with. So the backend has a server that is listening to you, but that server is listening only to a particular channel or a particular port. If you want it to respond to you, have to make that request to that particular port. I am just joining. How can I? Are you seriously? Don't worry. Just wherever you meet us, let's continue there. Later, you can always rewatch it, but wherever you meet us, just stay there. There's not much we've done, but we can go through it later with time. So I've explained IP address. IP address is how you connect. You can connect to your server on anywhere you hosted. That's how you connect. Now, on that server is listening every single time, but not listening to everybody. It's listening to a request that is made through a particular channel or a port, a particular one. If it is not that one, it will not respond. It has to be that one. So as a backend developer, your port is number one secret. It has to be secret. Nobody needs to know that port, because if they do, they can communicate with your server and you don't know what is passing on to your server. And you know, most times when you hear a server is down or a server has been hacked or a server has crashed, there are other reasons, there are other ways, but there's one approach that they use, which is they will generate multiple requests and send it to that your port, to that particular port. Now, because the server is getting multiple, like they use bots to do them, so it's in millions. Your server cannot handle all of them at the same time. It will shut down. If they stop, it will come back up. But if they still continue, keep it like that, the server will remain perpetually down until you bring in DevOps experience to handle multiple requests. Your server goes up. So your port is has to be very secret. Whatever port you set as your backend, you are not going to be exposing it to anybody, because if they know it, they can't communicate to your server anywhere it is, and they can shut it down. So the same thing with your domain, the same thing with your IP address. Now, the IP address, you don't need to know it, but the domain, you need to know it, because the domain is actually how you connect to your IP address. Any question? And okay, that not being said, I think there is another one is in HTTP. All of these requests are made through HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So when we know what this thing is. We may not really, I may not really go deeper into it, but I'm sure you've seen what HTTP is and HTTPS. So HTTPS simply means is secured. HTTP means is not secured. So we might learn about SSL. So, but this is the difference between the two of them. This is not secured, but this is secured. So if you have a backend application that involves anything financials, transactions, or user informations, make sure that your domain name has HTTPS attached to it. We might get to that point. All right. So in the absence, do we have any question on all the things I've said so far? Any question? Are you kidding me? Please, can anybody drop a thumbs up that you can hear me? The HTTP, leave the HTTP, will come to it. So, Omaye, what is your question? Please request for the mic so that I can attend to you. Where is he? Request for the mic and I will attend to you. There is nothing like a little recap. We may recap, but let's achieve something. We need to achieve something today first. Then we're going to recap later. Where is he? Please go ahead, ask your question. Does the port communicate communicate to dedicated server. The dedicated servers will definitely have more than one servers, more than one application hosted on it. Your own application will be one of it. And that your own application, you'll be giving an IP address for it or a domain name for it. Now that domain name is how you connect to it, but you are going to attach the IP to it. For example, something like this. My
Excuse me, sir.
yeah, go ahead.
Please, why am I getting a different message trying to? I'm sorry, taking us back. I'm getting a different message trying to install it.
Are you kidding me? Install
Sir,
which one? Install which
the
one?
Node.js npm.
No, you don't install npm. You install Node.
Yes,
Did
I
you go?
open.
Did you here? Did you go here?
It's giving me a red colored message after I followed what you did, and I have already installed the Node.js before. I don't understand what is
Can you
happening.
share your screen? Can you share your screen?
Yeah, it's green. Okay, I will try and do that if I come back online.
All right, all right. So the question is, does the port actually communicate to the server? This is how it is going to appear like this. You know that this is my domain. Behind it is my IP address. So that's what it means. And then this is my port attached to my domain. So both of them together, it will connect to the dedicated server. But on that dedicated server, my own application is listening to a particular port. So if I change it, if I set the port to be 8080, but somebody is sending a request to 8081, it might connect to that server, but my application will not respond because it's for 8081. My application will only respond to this port. So that's I think that's my answer. What is the difference between IP for we you want to do you want to I don't want to use the word. Let's skip
Okay.
that. All right. Are you here? Do you want to share your screen so that we proceed?
Am I here, right?
Yes,
So are you
Omari.
referring to me? Yes, please let me try and share my screen. I don't even know how to do that. I'm stuck here, sir. I'm trying
Please
to do my.
ask your question. We are done with the basics. We are doing the basics. The next step is starting to write the code, but I want to be sure that I don't have to repeat this process again. Omai, are you seeing this? Are you seeing this? Are you seeing this comment that says click the drop down and select Git Bash? All right. Um, Barifa, can you request for the mic? Please go ahead. Now, for those who actually know what they are doing, please bear with us. We are going to be a little slow. Bear with us. I think somebody has actually built the entire backend. Yeah, go ahead.
My recent issue is I downloaded the Node.js, so I installed it. So after installing, I went to listener to check if it is installed under that where you are supposed to check the extension, or I have forgotten the name. So I typed the npm /v. It shows me number from the code or whatever. But I type another one, which you ask us to check, another one there, and it was showing error that so this thing is not found.
Now that you don't know what you type, how will I know what the issue is?
It was to check they say I google it online. They say we should check for you to be sure that it's installed.
Yeah.
NPM.
I understand you. I understand you.
I
Colleague
even
of
send the
mine,
message to you. I send the screen to you. The screen to you.
where is the script?
I sent it to
And now,
this some week. I think some days ago.
some days ago,
Yes.
send what you type here so that we're going to see it. Send
Okay.
it here.
Thank you.
A colleague of mine, we are having a little challenge on the software we're working on. He got upset and he said, I understand code more than English, that I don't understand English. So, people of God, at this point, you are supposed to be talking to me like a developer who has written at least a few lines of code. If you are describing it in English language, I will not understand. That is the simple thing. You are using PowerShell, change it to Git Bash. We've treated this issue here. So once you see this thing, you are on PowerShell, change it to Git Bash, and it will work for you. You don't have an error. So you want me to understand something, tell me the code, the one I am teaching you and all of that so that we proceed. All right, I think that resolved the issues. You are using Git Bash, PowerShell. Just click on this drop down and select Git Bash. It will work. All right, so we are done with the basics. Now, when it comes to building a backend project, there are a lot of stuff that we're going to be using. So many things we'll be using, and those packages, all of them are inside this repository here called npm.js. Now, I will want to share this with you so that you have it, but you're going to get used to it. npm.js contains all the packages that we're going to need. First off, at this point, the next thing is to set up the server. At this point, so there is no code we want to write now that will make sense if it is not the server. It has to be the server. So the first step is to initialize the project, create a package.json file. The second step is to create the main file. The third step is set up the server inside the main file. That's the third step. We're going to come to port numbers and select, talking about the set port number. As a backend developer, you set port numbers. Then the server company, the VPS company, they will also set a port number. So the two of you will set a port number. The reason is because sometimes their port number may fail, or your own, but your own may not fail, theirs may fail. So what we do is we ask our backend to first use their port number. The reason is because if they give us a port number, nobody will know the port number. It will be generated automatically. Nobody knows. You're not going to know what the port number is. Even though some persons could make calculated guesses, can guess it is this, it is that. Now we're going to come to the backend, and you'll see that there are some things people cannot guess on the backend, which is why most backend are very secured. Because if everybody know what is on the backend is no longer secured. So you ask your backend to use their port, but if for any reason there is no port or theirs fail, you should fall back to your own automatically, so your server continues to listen. But you set the port, they also set the port. That's how it works. So how the next thing is to set up the server. There is a way to set up this server locally by ourselves. Set it up, write a few lines of code by ourselves. But you will not be doing that for any company. So because you will not be doing that for any company, There is absolutely no need for me to write it here. Now, if at any point in time you want to learn it, it's very simple. The same process. I can Google it for you. How to set up that. We are wasting our time. We don't have time. So to set up a server on the backend for any company, the most or the easiest way is using a package called Express. Some people call it Express, some call it Express.js, and so on and so forth. Now, if you open any job application, you will see Express.js as a requirement. Express.js, and this is the Express they are talking about. It is a fast, unopinionated, minimalistic web framework used to build REST API. You're going to hear that once in a while, REST API, but nevertheless. So I will click on Express. The next step is to set up the server. And we don't have to do it from scratch or what it is. Some people say reinvent the wheel. It has already been done, packaged, and pushed out. So as a backend developer, you don't need to start from scratch, writing all the codes again. You don't need to. This is all the codes you need to set up the server, and it will start running. But I will not copy it from here because I want to explain it line by line. So how do you set up the server? If you are okay with that next step, please drop a thumbs up so that we know we are okay to proceed to setting up the server. All right, how do we set up a server? The first thing, this Express here, this is Express. The first thing is to install the Express. We are not the one who wrote this code. Now, this is a code written and bundled out. If you look at it, you see that this is a code. This is GitHub, the way it appears on GitHub. It has been written and bundled out and pushed for anybody to use. It is also maintained and updated with time. Whoever the person that the collaborators of this particular code base. So all you need to do first is install Express into your backend. So that brings us to what we call dependencies. Dependencies. So you're going to hear a lot of introductory terms. Dependencies, dev dependencies, and then global dependencies. Global dev dependencies and dependencies. So what are dependencies? Anything that this project depends on to run is called a dependency. Without it, this backend will not run. It is called a dependency. For example, this Express here is used to set up our server. So if we set up a server here, it means that our server is now running on Express. Without Express, the server will not run. So Express becomes a dependency. So that is what dependency means. What are dev dependencies? Dev dependencies are those dependencies we will only need while we are developing. If we deploy it, those dependencies become irrelevant. They are called dev dependencies because we only need them while we are developing. Once we deploy, those dependencies become irrelevant. And I'm going to show you examples too. Then what are global dependencies? Global dependencies are dependencies you install on your computer. You install it on your laptop, your computer, for it to run. Example, Node.js. You have to first install it on your computer. Without it, the project will not run. So I want to believe we know what dependencies and dev dependencies are. So how do you install a dependency? When it comes to backend, you don't need to go to the website and click download. No, you already have npm. So you can ask npm, because npm is responsible for managing all those packages. This package, we found it on npm. This is npm. This is the folder, the documentation for npm, and on it you have Express. So you can call npm to install any package or any dependency you want to use. Like right now, we want to use Express. And what do we want to use Express for? To set up a server. Does that make sense? So how do I do that? I still open my terminal, come here, remove this thing, and type npm install Express. Simple. That's just what I need to do. npm is the node package manager. I can ask it to install any package I want. Any package. And in this case, the package I want or the dependency I want is Express. So I can ask it to install Express. Now I understand that this is a lot, but please bear with me. Setting up a project, a backend project for the first time is difficult. And that's why most times a lot of persons don't do it cheap. It's expensive, because even the setup alone itself can be confusing. But the moment you know it and you do it once, you can decide not to be setting it up every time. You can duplicate it and so on and so forth. You don't need to start from scratch. But for your sake, we're doing it from scratch. So please bear with me. I will hit enter. When I hit enter, for you, you may see it running and bringing long line. You might see different, it may work differently for different computers. But just know that it is installing. You wait for it for a while to install. When it's done, it will tell you it is done. And you see something like added 66 packages, blah, 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 and blah. Then you're going to see a folder called node modules, and you see another file called package.json, the brother to package.json. My screen is stagnant. Are you kidding me? Give me a minute. Let me restart my internet. Wait, is it stagnant for everybody? It's showing. It's not. Okay. No, it's not. All right. Try it again. But don't worry. We're just doing the basics. There's nothing much that you need to be worried about here. We're just doing the basics. We've not even reached the backend proper, like start writing codes and building API. We want to set up the first part, which is the server. So you can always watch a video to set it up, or you can always come to this documentation. This is the code to set it up, the same thing, like that. And also, when it comes to the backend, there is no harm in going online to copy codes, to look at documentation, to research, or anything at all. There is no harm. As a matter of fact, I will recommend it. It is easier that your company will ask you, hello John, or hello Omaye, this functionality we are asking you for, why have you not built it? And you say, sir or ma, I am still researching, or I am still reading up, or I'm still looking up for the best approach on how to implement it. It is better that way than you implement it and it crash. They will just design a color circulator, a colored one, and push it out to your mail immediately. So read documentation, copy it from somewhere, ask questions from anywhere. Don't do anything until you are sure of what you are doing. Otherwise, a colored calculator, they'll just push it fast. So, but if you don't know what you are doing as a student right now, don't copy codes. Yeah? But if you know what you are doing, copy the codes. Go ahead, copy it fast. Don't waste your time. Copy it. Just copy the code. But if you don't know, don't copy. So, like I said, all right. So, if you install it, these are what you are going to see: node modules, index file, package.log, and package.json. Here, like I said, the package.json, you don't touch it. Like, you can edit it, but don't delete it. But the package log, you can delete it at any time. The node modules, of course, you will always delete it because it's not even pushed to GitHub in the first place. So node modules, you don't push it to GitHub. Package log, you can delete it because these two, you can delete them, but so long as you still have the package.json file, you can always recover to. And we're going to show you how and when. So if you have these two, to confirm that you have actually installed Express, you have to come to your package.json file, open it, and under dependencies, you will see Express. Yeah, you can fund them now. Actually, I just showed you here that these are contributors, people that always research and look at it here. You can fund the package. Just go and whatever you have, you send to them like that. You can also build your own package and push it out. People will start using it. I think somebody built something for Paystack before Paystack took over. So you can build your own, push it out. I know somebody was asking me to build something for Global Pay or so that they don't. There are a lot of stuff. So you can build yours, you ask for funding and so on and so forth. But you need to confirm that in your package.json, you have Express in the dependencies. And if you look at it, it is telling you the version of the Express. If you come next month or you install Express next month, you will not get this exact version. For those that installed it last month or maybe last 2 months, they are not going to be using this exact version. But when it comes to backend, all your versions work together. If one version does not match, they may not be the same version, but it cannot relate because version 2 of this dependency may not work well with version 3 of these other dependencies. Version 3 of these dependencies may not work well with version 11 of these other dependencies. So when you are installing your project, NPM will install for you the version that will work well on your project. A lot of developers experience bugs, and the bugs they experience are versions, and I experience it. So that is why you cannot delete the package.json file. It contains the version records of your dependencies. If you delete it, I know one story of one guy that deleted a database for one company and the company closed down. They are still facing lawsuits. We are going to come to database later. But just imagine that you work for OPay, and OPay, because of one mistake of deleting package.json file, their company closes. You are going to vanish from the surface of this earth. But it's all right. That's how you know you installed Express. I'm going to delete it. How do I delete it? Now, I can delete it from here manually if I want, but I can still come back. It is Express that installed it. I can still ask Express to uninstall it. I can say, sorry, npm rather, npm uninstall Express. You are the one that installed Express. Please remove or uninstall Express. So it's going to try and uninstall Express. Now it has removed the 66 packages and everything. If I come back to my package.json, you see that I don't have any dependencies here again. It's gone. Even though I have these node modules, you see, I can delete these node modules if I want. at any point in time. I can also delete the package lock at any point in time, so long as I do not delete the package.json. So I can install it again. npm I Express. This is still the same thing. You can choose to write it shorthand, npm I Express. It still means npm install express, or you can still write it in full, npm install express. So I'll hit enter and we'll move on. So that should install express for me. Sorry, it takes a whole lot. That is why when I remember one time a student met me. He was working on a project and it was difficult. He brought me to the project to help him. He says he's going to pay my transport. He paid transport 15,000 naira, and I got there. When I reached there, I was working on the project. The project was difficult. I asked him, wait, how much did he even charge for this project, sir? How much did he even charge? Now, I'm not saying give me money, but if I want to work on a project that's going to give me issue, make sure it's worth money. He mentioned an amount. I think it's 50,000 or so. I say, if you don't give this guy his project back now and request for 200,000, don't call me again. Don't. Now, the reason why I said that is because the project is actually frustrating me. So it's frustrating me, and I had to unleash the frustration somewhere. So I unleashed it on him, but using the amount he charged as an excuse. So when he called the guy and said he's handing over the project back, the guy said, no, don't worry. How much is the money you want? He said 200,000. He said we give him 200,000. I was hoping that the project is gone, that the guy will not pay 200,000. They still brought it back again. He's willing to pay 200,000. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So I have no choice but to assist him. He was my student, and we did it, got his money, and that's it. All right, so I've installed Express. And this is Express here. Make sure you always see Express here. How do you set up the server? You come here. The first thing you want to do is to create a variable called Express. Const Express is equal to, you say require Express. What I'm saying here is that I am trying to bring in the Express I installed. If I don't install it, I will not see it here. If I try to type in Express here, require, and I type in Express, let me do it again. It's gone. I'll say require and then Express. So you see Express is coming out here because I installed it. If you do not install it, you will not see it here. So I'll select it. It says please add this in React.js. They're the same thing. Yeah, React.js uses package.json file, node modules, but this is not React.js. React.js is a JavaScript framework. Node.js is also a JavaScript framework. Two of them are JavaScript framework, but one is used on the front end, another is used on the back end. So that's why both of them have these node modules and package.json. Like that. All right, so what I'm simply doing here is saying bring in Express that I installed and store it inside this variable called Express. That's what this line means. Bring in the Express I installed and store it inside this variable called Express. So right now, what is inside this Express here is actually the one I installed. Now, if you want, you can call it something else, but it still means the same thing. What is inside this thing is the Express I installed. But so that we are grammatically correct or whatever, we know that what is inside is Express. So that is why we are calling it Express. So I will come here and create another variable, call it app. equal to is a new variable, and I say express function. So what am I doing? I brought in express, I stored it inside this variable. Now I am invoking it here as a function. This is the express function. Yes. It doesn't matter the packages, so long as you are seeing the express there. What is in the package does not really concern you. So long as you are seeing it in your package.json file, that's all that matters. So I am invoking express here on the app. This app here stands for our backend. That is the name we are giving our backend. We are calling our backend app. You can call it server if you want. You can call it anything, not anything. In this case, we want to be professionally correct. Either call it app or call it server. So I like calling it app because I refer to backend as an application. So my backend app is now asked to run on the express function that I invoked. So this express is this one here, and what is inside here is this one I installed. I don't know if it makes sense. So I'm bringing in express, storing it in a function, and then I am using it here. Now some persons could do this in one line, but I like doing it in three so that you see it. I say const app is equal to require express, and then they come back here and invoke it immediately. Then this works. This is one line. It works. Some people do it like this. Now, when it comes to writing codes, whatever you can do, there's two different ways. In fact, three different ways of doing every particular thing. Three different ways. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that what you are doing is not correct. That is how you want to do it. There's another way some other person wants to do it. So they are all correct, but you choose to do it your way. Somebody can invoke it. You can import it immediately and invoke it immediately. Or you can import it in one line and then invoke it in another line. It's still the same thing. So I remove this, come here and put it back. So now I've brought in Express and I'm asking my backend to run on Express. The next thing is to ask my application to listen, because the server is supposed to be listening every time. The server is supposed to be listening. So I'll ask it to listen, but not just to listen, but to listen on a particular port. I will use 5,000. Now 5,000 is a test number. You can use any number from 5,000 and above. 5,000, 6,000, 7,000, 8,000, even whatever number you want, but it has to be 4 digits. 4 digits, any number you want, 4 digits. So with these 3 lines, I have succeeded in setting up my server, which is exactly why these people are so important to us, because they just give us an easier way to set up a server in 3 lines. You can make it 2 lines if you invoke it immediately in 3 lines. Now, this is how you will set it up for any company. Now, if you go to any backend project anywhere, you will see it this way. Now, not exactly like this, because some people will put this skillful. We're going to get there where you just change a little thing, but the same thing exactly like this. So how do you know that my server is running and is listening? You will run it. You run the backend to see whether the server is running. That's how you know it is running. So I will open my terminal again, clear it, bring this down, sorry, and then run it again. So I will say node run index.js. Now, if you see this line, if you see this other line again, it means your server is not running. But if it is hanging like this, like my own, then your server is listening. That's what it means. So the server is listening because it is hanging like this. It has not stopped. It's listening. So this is how you set up the server. The basic server. We're going to get into it, make it, expand it a little, but this is just what it means to set up the server. And if you know this, like this is I want to stop today. What I want you to know is how to initialize npm to generate node package.json file, how to create your main file, your entry point file, how to install Express, and how to set up your server, and how to run the application with Node. That's all I wanted to achieve from this class. All right, any question again? So this is where I want to end today's class. Yeah. If yours is hanging like this, it means your server is running and is listening on whatever port that you put here. Any question? Yours is not hanging. What is this saying? Can you share screenshots? npm install express node index.js, and I have you have not saved the file. Save it with Ctrl+X. It is still showing dot. It means it has not been saved. So save it, it will run. Okay, so the last line for setup is still not understood. The last line is this line. What that line is doing is, now I created a variable called app, and I'm using it as a name for my backend application. And I'm telling it to run on the express function. This is a function because I'm invoking it with parentheses. So if the app is now running on the express function, I can then tell the app to listen for requests. So this is how I tell it to listen, but I want to specify a particular port. Don't just listen, but listen to requests from a particular port. And I can change it to 7000 and save it. Now I need to restart the server, cancel it with Ctrl+C, then run it again, node index.js. And now it's hanging. So that's the last line. What it does is just listening to any request. For now, we've not done request. We're going to do all those things, but let's just learn how to set it up. All right. Oh man, sorry. We are not. We are. Thank God I was stopping. It's working. All right, guys. So this is where I want to stop. Like I said, we did 5 things which I want you to learn. Learn it. Make sure you learn it and you understand it. We may not do it again. We may not. But please learn it. We want to proceed and go as much as we can. But next week, I will roll out the projects and all of that stuff. All right. Any other question? I think we still have any other question before we call it a day. Yes, it should still be hanging. If you want to cancel, hey, listen. If you close this VS Code like this, why this server is still running? By the time you come again and open it, this port will not be available again. I don't know if that makes sense. Let me take it again. My server is running because it's hanging. If you don't close or cancel the server, if you don't cancel it with Ctrl+C, and you close this VS Code, the server is still running. By the time you come and open it again, it will tell you that this port, something is running on this port. So please, before you close your VS Code, cancel with Ctrl+C, cancel the terminal with Control C. Yes, you can. Just actually, as a backend developer, we get to the point where we use Docker, but let's not talk. Try it. Whatever you want, try it. If it doesn't work, we'll find out what's wrong, but it will work. When will the recording be available? As today or early morning tomorrow? We'll try as much as we can. Yeah, I'll try to drop it today. I'll try. Any other questions before we call it a day? But if we're okay to stop here, please drop a thumbs up so that we can end the class. Please drop a thumbs up so that we can end the class. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.